Got a girl pregnant on vacation, struggling to do what is right. I, 25 male, met a girl, 22 female, online from a different country, and while travelling abroad, I stayed a week in her country. We slept together a few times, but I made it clear I wasn't interested in a relationship long term with her before we did anything. We didn't use protection every time, but I pulled out thinking it was fine because I got away with it a lot with my exes, but not this time, I guess. I arrived home 2 weeks ago, but just under a week ago, she took 2 pregnancy tests and surprise, she's almost 6 weeks pregnant. She is from a religious background, so she was mortified at any mention of abortion and said that she would never do it, which I understand completely, but she wants me to be a part of the child's life. And while I kind of agree with her, I grew up without a father and said to myself years ago that I wouldn't do that to my future child. This was so unexpected and I didn't want to be with this girl. I'm a third-year uni student and I still plan to finish my studies so I can support the kid financially, but money isn't the issue because she comes from a really wealthy family. She told her father a few days ago about the pregnancy and she said that he planned on either buying a property in my city so we could stay together to raise this kid or sending her to a different country if I don't want to raise the kid because the country she is from heavily frowns upon children born out of wedlock and doesn't allow interreligious marriage. We aren't part of the same religion. She is heavily pressuring me to decide if I will be part of the kid's life and help raise it, or she will never let me see the kid or know where or who they are. I just learned that she was 5 months days ago and asked her full time to let me sort out my thoughts. But she sends me long texts every day sending either goodbye and she is done with me or how this child deserves a father. I am torn because I know financially this kid would have a life more abundant than I ever had without me there. But morally I know I shouldn't abandon the kid I helped create to grow up without a dad. I haven't told my family, only one of my best friends knows, because this all sounds so outlandish and honestly my thoughts are a mess and I find myself avoiding her messages. I was hoping to get some advice from anyone else who had an unexpected pregnancy with someone they didn't see themselves being with. So we've had a comment here that says, this was so unexpected. How was this unexpected? You were too old to behave this stupid. As others said, get confirmation that it's yours. Be a present father. There's quite a few comments saying get a paternity test if it's yours, step up. This one says, yeah, real. That was a response to that one. How is this even a question? Deal with your actions. Don't be another deadbeat dad. You will never forget your own child. Do with that as you will. You can move on, but that will haunt every relationship you ever have. Be responsible for your kid's life. Otherwise, you are as bad as a deadbeat father. OP, with all due respect, you made zero effort to not end up in this situation. You've brought this on yourself and need to deal with that. Is the kid worse off without you than it would be with you? Who knows? Whichever way you decide to lean on, you need to commit to that. Yeah, I do think it's the a-hole because it didn't sound like he made much effort to stop a pregnancy occurring.
Yeah.
You know, there was no real discussion about that, was there? There was no. And so if he was so determined to not have a kid and so adamant about that, then maybe he should have thought about that before being irresponsible. That genuinely is my view, which might sound a bit mean, but you're an adult here. You have to take responsibility for yourself. And if you've not taken those precautions and you've landed yourself in this situation, then that's down to you to handle that situation and adapt your life to deal with it.
I think a lot of men just assume that if a woman is prepared to have them without asking them to use a condom or some sort of protection, I think men wrongly assume that the woman is on the pill or protected in some way because they just assume that a woman wouldn't. They kind of put the responsibility on her. So although I do agree with you, but she should have also
100%
said,
she should have done that.
Should have said,
but it doesn't sound like she's unhappy with the pregnancy. But if he didn't want that, I still feel like he's more the a-hole in the situation because he's the one that didn't want that, but actively did nothing to stop it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I do agree with. I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I do know what you're saying.
Yeah.
She was irresponsible too, but she obviously didn't mind being pregnant and having a baby. She was obviously happy to do that, and so again, you know, that was. I guess they're both a bit of the a-hole because they should have had that discussion.
Yeah,
about being more responsible and what's going to happen if she gets pregnant, and then maybe she would have taken it more seriously about protecting herself, or maybe he should definitely have taken it more seriously if he was that adamant about not wanting a kid. It is stupid to do that unprotected and then like just think nothing's going to happen. You're a grown adult. You should know that, you know, the pull-out method isn't good enough. Like, you're old enough to know that.
He should have asked her if she was using any kind of protection, like the pill or whatever. And then if she had lied, then obviously that's on her.
Miscommunication here.
Yeah, miscommunication.
While they were sleeping with each other, like, there was miscommunication.
He needs to step up because he's put himself in that situation.
He's been irresponsible.
Stupidly assuming, I think, that
she was on the pill or something. Yeah,
that she was on the pill.
Yeah, this is the thing. He should not have assumed anything.
But I think that's
You've got to take responsibility for yourself. You shouldn't be just assuming that that person's got it. No, you need to protect yourself, because if they haven't got it, at least you're sorted.
Yeah, and I think that's what he done. I think because she was willing to have sex with no protection, I think in his head he just assumed it was fine. I think most men prefer not to use that. But me personally, especially meeting like that, a stranger, I would be wanting to anyway. Regardless of pregnancy, if pregnancy isn't your only worry.
Well, so he should have it in his head that a lot of girls get people pregnant to trap them. So he should be aware of that. If he didn't want to have a baby, he should have put more precautions in place to stop this from happening. This is totally his fault that he's in this situation. And as I say, I'm not really going to hold much blame with her, because she clearly doesn't mind being pregnant and having a baby. It's him that didn't want that. So if he didn't want that, he should have made the decision to not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's definitely more the a-hole here.
Because even if she had said she was on the pit, the fact that they don't really know each other really, like they're not in an actual relationship, or they weren't, then he should have protected himself regardless of pregnancy.
He should have protected himself. He should have taken responsibility for his own body, you know, and his own health.
Things can go wrong, can't they, anyway, even if you're on contraception?
And this is the thing. So at least
even if she said that she was on the pill or something, that's double protection if he had also...
Yeah, exactly. So, he is the arsehole in this situation.
Yeah.
Totally.